Remote teams. If you are a leader in today's modern world, you probably have some, if not all, of your team members working remote. This is amazing. We live in a modern time. Any Starbucks, co-working space, or a couch in someone's apartment can be their office if they so choose, and if that works for you and your team. However, there are some very predictable challenges that come up with a remote workforce that we would like to help you figure out how to surmount. So when we talk to remote workers about what goes on for them, what they like and what they don't like about their jobs, they love the flexibility, they love the trust, but as an aggregate, the thing that starts to get in their way is a feeling of isolation. Isolation meaning they don't feel connected, they don't feel a part of, they don't feel trust with the people around them. And what does that do over time? Well, it means that they are less likely to be engaged, less likely to offer new ideas in scary settings with people they don't know very well, ultimately less likely to stick around if it gets too intense. So we're here today to talk about how to maintain connectivity and engagement on a remote team. Not specifically how to get your people to perform, that's a topic for another day, but how to help them stay connected when they don't have the luxury of interacting face-to-face every day. So 3 simple tips. Tip number 1 is communicate. I know it sounds obvious, but when we have a remote workforce, they don't get to be around us day to day. They don't get those informal hello, how are yous, nor do they get, big sweeping gestures about our strategy or how we're doing on, performance towards our KPIs. We have to up our communication when our team is remote. Not only should we up the overall quantity of communication, but we should look at the different mediums and figure out which ones are in our best interest. What do I mean by this? With technology being what it is, we have so many ways to connect with people that are not in the same room with us. There's apps, there's video messaging, there's record an audio file and send it. There are ways that we can communicate that go far and above just sending an email, which is by its very nature, very one-dimensional, right? There are ways that we can connect with folks when they're not right next to us that can really increase the feeling of familiarity, the personalization, the ability to communicate tone and intent more effectively. Take as an example this video. You're receiving information from me right this minute in a very different way than you would be if you were simply reading this as a text, right? So not only should we communicate, but we should look for how we're communicating and select those options that are more intimate and personal whenever we can. So choose a Zoom or video conference meeting over a call. Choose to pick up the phone and call rather than just send an email. Communicate as much as you can and in as personal of ways as you can, number 1. Tip number 2 is within that communication, take some time to get personal. In an in-person office space, we have plenty of time in the hallway and between meetings to chit-chat and get to know each other, to know, does that person have children? What do they like to do on the weekends? Who are they as a human? We are one singular being, each of us. There's not a work version and a personal life version. We're just one person. And so on a remote team, if we don't take the time, and if you as the leader don't role model, as well as provide space for people to take the time to connect in terms of who they are, then folks can end up feeling like they're just a cog in a machine, rather than an actual human who is valuable and seen. So take the time to get personal, ask a few more questions, take a few minutes at the beginning of a meeting to check in, that sort of thing. And tip number 3, and this one is so important, take time to celebrate the wins. Your remote workers may be in a different country, a different state, etc. They're working hard, they're sending in projects, they're meeting deadlines. As a remote worker, they need to feel valued. They need to see that their work is being acknowledged. So take time, maybe a little bit more often than you think, to say thank you, to acknowledge them publicly on a team call, to send them a $25 Starbucks gift card in acknowledgement of a small win. They got something done in a way that was really impressive to you. Take the time to celebrate the wins so that they know that what they're doing is seen despite their faces not being seen on the day-to-day. So to review, 3 tips to keep your remote team engaged and fight the issue of isolation: communicate, get personal, and celebrate the wins.